Next, we'll make the decorations, which are divided into pom-poms, hanging loops, deer ears and horns. Make and attach separately. Let's start with the pom-pom. Use a foundation chain to begin. Then crochet in rounds. The new stitch techniques used include X single crochet, V single crochet increase, and a single crochet decrease. Now watch my demonstration. Here for easier viewing, I'm still using cotton yarn for demonstration. You can learn the method first, then use the corresponding yarn to crochet later. First, make a foundation chain. Chain 2. Mark the completed first stitch. Simply mark the chain space with the original yarn. Continue to crochet one more stitch. Starting chain completed, then insert into the second to last stitch, which is the marked stitch. Correspondingly make 6 single crochets. First crochet the first stitch. Before crocheting, pick up the entire loop, and place a stitch marker. Then insert the hook. Yarn over and draw through. Now there are 2 loops on your hook. Next, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in once. This is a single crochet. The braid on the upper right is its stitch position, and also the position marked by the stitch marker. I'll demonstrate again. Pay attention, if you can't find the position with the original yarn, mark every stitch. Similarly, always pick up the loop, and place a stitch marker before crocheting. I'm using cotton yarn for crocheting here, which makes it easier to see the stitch positions, so I only mark the first stitch, and won't mark the rest. Everyone should decide based on their actual situation. Insert the hook into the previous stitch's insertion point. Yarn over and pull through. Then yarn over and pass through the 2 loops on the hook. Complete the single crochet. Continue with 4 single crochets. After completing, check the stitch count. With the original yarn, feel for the small hole. Then at the first stitch's marker position, join with a slip stitch. You can remove the stitch marker from the previous insertion point here. Pull tight. Similarly, the slip stitch at the end isn't marked in the chart. When crocheting in rounds, always finish by joining with a slip stitch. After completing, pull tight. The first round is complete. When using the original yarn to crochet, pay attention to mark after each round is completed. This makes it convenient to check the number of rounds later. Move on to crochet round 2. Make 1 chain as the beginning chain. The beginning chain isn't marked in the chart here. When crocheting single crochets in rounds, always start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Then pick up the marked stitch position. Work a single crochet increase, that is, work 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Pay attention to mark before crocheting. Similarly, when using the original yarn, you can mark on every stitch as needed. You can also mark every 3 or 5 stitches. Choose according to your actual situation. When marking the first stitch, you still need to place 2 stitch markers. For easy distinction, I'm still only marking on the first stitch here. One stitch. 2 stitches. Complete the single crochet increase. Continue picking up stitches downward. Work 5 single crochets evenly across with increases. Check the stitch count after completion. Then pick the first stitch position, and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The second round is complete. Continue crocheting the third round. Make 1 beginning chain to start, then work 1 single crochet correspondingly. Followed by a single crochet increase. Now complete 1 group of stitch patterns in parentheses. Continue crocheting using this method. Finish with a slip stitch on the first stitch. Pull tight. The third round is complete. For rounds 4-5 afterward, the chart shows 1/8x even, meaning 1 stitch corresponds to 1 single crochet, a total of 18 stitches. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Then pick up stitches evenly and work single crochets. Check the stitch count after completing, then slip stitch into the first stitch. Pull tight. The fourth round is complete. For the fifth round afterward, use the same method as the fourth round. Work evenly. Just follow the chart for crocheting. Pay attention to start with a beginning chain. Finish with a slip stitch at the end. After completing, work the sixth round. Here, I'll use this swatch for demonstration. Start by making a beginning chain, then work 1 single crochet. Next, work a single crochet decrease. First, insert into the adjacent stitch to make an incomplete single crochet. Insert. Yarn over and pull through. 2 loops remain on your hook. This is the incomplete single crochet. Continue with an adjacent stitch to make another incomplete single crochet. Insert, yarn over and pull through. Now there are 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Next, work 1 single crochet. Finish the stitch pattern within the parentheses. Continue down with 1 single crochet. Work a single crochet decrease on the adjacent stitch. First, insert into 2 adjacent stitches. Make an incomplete single crochet. 1, 2. Yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Next, work 1 single crochet. Another group completed. Repeat this process. Continue crocheting. Finish the last stitch. Join with a slip stitch in the first stitch. Pull tight. Round 6 completed. Continue following the chart for the remaining parts. After completing the second to last round, stuff a little fiber fill inside. I'll demonstrate the method using a swatch. First, fluff up the fiber fill before stuffing. Adjust the amount as needed. Too much will make it stiff. Too little won't hold the shape. Then continue crocheting the final round. Cut the yarn and leave a tail for sewing. First, secure with 1 chain stitch. Then leave a 10 cm yarn tail. Cut the yarn. Pull tight. Whenever you need to leave a tail at the end, repeat this process. That's how to crochet the pom-pom. Just crochet another pom-pom using the same method. Next, crochet the hanging loop. Use the method of holding the yarn to crochet chain stitches. I'll still demonstrate with cotton yarn here. You'll need 2 yarn tails for crocheting. A skein has 2 yarn tails, 1 on the surface, 1 in the center. Pick up both yarn tails. Then reserve about 15 centimeters. Combine the yarns and make a slip knot. Place it on the crochet hook. Next, hang one of the yarns with your left hand. Lay the other yarn over the hook from bottom to top. Yarn over and pull through. Continue laying the lower yarn strand over the hook. Then yarn over and pull through. After that, repeat this process. I'll crochet a few more stitches. This is the method of holding the yarn to crochet chain stitches. Continue downwards using this technique. Crochet to the length indicated on the chart. Once you reach the desired length, leave a 15 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Then pull the loop on the hook through. Tie the 2 yarn tails together to secure them. This completes the crocheted hanging loop. Next, attach the hanging loop to the main part of the hat. Use the reserved yarn tail from the hanging loop. Tie a knot at both pointed ends of the hat to secure it. You can use either a crochet hook or a darning needle. Pull out one of the reserved yarn tails using the hook. Then tie a double knot with the yarn tail. Weave in the yarn for a few stitches inside the fabric. Simply weave in the yarn through the chain space of the hanging loop. Repeat this process to weave in the other yarn tail as well. Complete this step on your own. That concludes the installation of the hanging loop. Next, attach a pom-pom to the other end of the hanging loop. Use the reserved yarn from the pom-pom. Sew a few stitches through the hanging loop to secure it. At the same time, sew together the opening of the pom-pom to secure it. There's no specific method required. Just make sure it's secure and neat. The yarn tail of the hanging loop can be threaded into the pom-pom. Fasten and weave in ends after completing. Trim any remaining tails. This completes the installation of one pom-pom. Install the other one using the same method. Complete this step on your own. Next, crochet the deer ears. They consist of inner and outer ears. First, crochet them separately. After completing, assemble the inner ear with the outer ear. Finally, attach both to the main part of the hat. Let's start with the outer ear. The crocheting method is similar to the pom-pom, only the stitch count and stitch technique vary slightly, but no new stitch techniques are used. Please refer directly to the chart. Complete crocheting the outer ear. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail for sewing after finishing. Next, crochet the inner ear. Use the adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise outward. The stitch techniques are identical to the main part of the hat. However, cotton yarn is required here. Watch my demonstration. For easier viewing, I'll demonstrate using a different color. Pick up the yarn tail with your right hand. Wrap it around your left index finger twice. Pinch the crossing point of the loop with your right hand. Take the loop. Then hang the yarn tail on the left hand. Transfer the loop between the thumb and middle finger of the left hand. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Insert into the loop. Yarn over and pull through. Secure with one chain stitch. This completes the adjustable magic ring. Move on to the first round. Chain 2 as the beginning chain. Note that this turning chain doesn't count as one stitch. Then work 12 double crochets into the magic ring. Remember to mark the first stitch. After that, close the magic ring. If the loop left here is too small, you can move the completed part backward. Then gently pull the starting tail of the yarn. You'll see a loop moving. Then at the end of the starting yarn tail, pull the moving loop outward. This closes one loop. One loop remains. Tighten the starting tail of the yarn directly. The loop is secured. Then work a slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Pull tight. The first round is complete. Leave the starting yarn tail here. All subsequent rounds work into the corresponding position of the previous round. Just follow the chart for crocheting. Note, leave a 50 cm yarn tail for sewing after completing. The inner ear crocheting is now explained. Proceed to assembly next. Turn the inner ear wrong side out, that is, the side with the starting yarn tail, then pull the yarn tail to the other side. Place it inside the fabric. Next, match up the sewing edges of both fabrics. Position the inner ear centered on the outer ear. Use the reserved yarn from the inner ear for sewing. Thread the needle. Then pick up corresponding stitches along the inner ear edge, and sew to the outer ear. No specific method required, just make it secure and neat. Tie several knots when done. Then weave in the tail inside the fabric. You can weave in a few more stitches for safety. This completes assembling the inner ear with the outer ear. Follow the same technique for the rest. Assemble the other inner ear with the outer ear. After completing, proceed to the next installation step. First, check the installation position. Place the split side of the hat main part at the back. Then align the front part without the split. Fold the hat in half. Next, at the folded edge, slightly centered position. Horizontally attach the deer ears on top. The ears overlap partially with the main part. Make sure the side with the inner ear faces forward. You can adjust the installation position according to your preference. Find the right spot, then start sewing downward. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. The swatch position is flexible, mainly to show the technique. First, thread the needle with yarn. Then fold along the seam line on one side. Following the previous placement method. First, match and sew the folded part to the main part. There's no specific sewing technique required here, just make sure it's secure. Pay attention not to sew through the back of the main part. Then sew a few stitches to secure the outer ear to the hat body. Be mindful not to pass through the inner ear when inserting the hook. After that, tie a knot. Weave in the remaining yarn tails into the fabric. You can weave in a few more stitches for extra security. And that's how you attach a deer ear. Attach the other one using the same method, symmetrically. Complete this part on your own. That concludes the explanation for the deer ears. Now let's crochet the antlers. There are 2 of them. Each antler is divided into 3 sections. First, crochet section 1 and section 2 separately. After completing them, join them together, and crochet section 3. Let's start with section 1. Use cotton yarn for crocheting. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet outwards in rounds counterclockwise. Use the X-stitch single crochet technique here. Watch my demonstration below. For easier viewing, I'll demonstrate using another color. First, make an adjustable magic ring. Then move on to the first round. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. The turning chain is not marked in the chart. When crocheting single crochets in rounds, always make 1 chain as your beginning chain. The beginning chain doesn't count as 1 stitch. Then work the X-stitch single crochet into the marked stitch. Mark before crocheting. Insert the hook into the marked loop. Place the hook above the yarn. Pull the yarn through. Then yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. 1 X-stitch single crochet is completed. Let me demonstrate again. Insert into the loop. Hook above the yarn. Pull the yarn through. Continue yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Another X-stitch single crochet is done. Continue down, pick up loops, and work 4 X-stitch single crochets. The entire antler uses the X-stitch single crochet technique. From now on, I'll simply refer to it as single crochet. Continue. 1 stitch. 2 stitches. 3 stitches. 4 stitches. Fasten off the ring after completing. Then pick up the first stitch, and join with a slip stitch. The slip stitch isn't marked in the chart here either. When crocheting in rounds, always finish by joining with a slip stitch. Pull tight after finishing. The first round is complete. Move on to round 2. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then pick up stitches, and work single crochet increases correspondingly. That means making 2 X-stitch single crochets in the same position. If you can easily find the first stitch, you don't need to mark it anymore. Continue crocheting this round all the way down. Check the stitch count after completing. Count the stitches from back to front. We also found the first stitch. Insert the hook into the stitch and work a slip stitch. Pull tight after completing. The second round is complete. Continue to round 3. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then pick up stitches and work 1 single crochet. Work 1 single crochet increase in the adjacent stitch. This completes the stitch pattern within the parentheses. Continue crocheting downward following the chart. Finally, work a slip stitch into the first stitch position. Pull tight. The third round is complete. For rounds 4 through 13, the chart shows even 1/8x, meaning starting from round 4, 1 stitch corresponds to 1 single crochet. Continue crocheting until the end of round 13. Each round consists of 18 single crochets. When encountering this format later, the meaning expressed is the same. Remember to work a starting chain at the beginning of each round. Finish with a slip stitch and pull tight. Complete these rounds. During the crocheting process, pay attention to keeping the textured side of the stitch pattern facing outward. The side with the starting yarn tail should be on the inside. Simply cut the yarn after finishing. Section 1 is now complete. Move on to section 2. The method is similar to section 1, only the number of rounds differs. Simply follow the chart for crocheting. Don't cut the yarn after completing. Proceed to section 3 once done, starting from the yarn tail of section 2. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Then pick up corresponding single crochets in section 2. Then pick up section 2. Then pick up corresponding single crochets in section 2. Complete the stitch count for section 2. Pick up section 1. Pick up stitches correspondingly to make single crochets. Complete the stitch count for section 1. Pick up the first stitch to start working downward. Join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The first round is complete. Move on to crochet round 2. Make a beginning chain to start. Make 1 single crochet decrease. Insert the hook in the same way as the X stitch single crochet. First work 2 incomplete single crochets. 1, 2. Finally yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Continue working 14 single crochets downward. Then work 2 single crochet decreases. Refer to the chart for the remaining steps. Finally, pick up the starting position. The stitch of the first stitch, work a slip stitch. Pull tight. Round 2 is complete. For rounds 3-4 afterward, no new stitch techniques or methods are used. Please refer to the chart to complete them. When finished crocheting, leave a 30 cm yarn tail for sewing. After crocheting is finished, between these two areas here, there will be a hole. If the remaining yarn tail in section 1 is long enough, use the leftover yarn from section 1. Pick up the hole and sew 1-2 stitches. If the yarn tail is too short, pick up new yarn for sewing. After taking a piece of yarn, thread the needle. Pick up the opening and sew a few stitches. No specific method is required. Just make it secure. No specific method is required. Just tuck the yarn tail inside the fabric. That concludes the crocheting of the antlers. Crocheting is complete. Proceed to the assembly next. Place it on the inside of the ear. Here, section 2 goes next to the ear. Then stuff a bit of fiberfill inside. Fluff it up first before stuffing. Adjust the amount as needed. Too much will make it stiff. Too little won't hold its shape. Just enough to support the fabric structure. It should look firmly stuffed. Thread the needle with the yarn end. Place the side with the yarn tail behind. Pick up the edge of section 3. Match and sew together with the main part of the hat. Any method works, as long as it's securely attached. When only a small opening remains, if the stuffing isn't firm enough, continue adding more stuffing. Then finish sewing the remaining part. Tie a knot when completed. Weave in the remaining yarn tails into the fabric. You can weave in a few extra stitches for security. That's how a horn is attached. Follow the same method. Attach another horn to finish. Complete this part on your own. The decoration part is now complete. Finally, tidy up the hat. During the process, some fibers may get trapped inside the fabric. You can brush the fibers gently. Pick out the fibers pressed underneath. Don't press too hard while brushing, just lightly lift the fibers. You can also use a crochet hook or yarn needle to pick the fibers. As long as the final effect looks pleasing, up to this point, the entire hat making process is now fully explained. If you have any unclear parts during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.